What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of r/IDontWorkHereLady, where people get mistaken for being workers by some real oblivious people. So let's get into today's Reddit posts. I'm not an interpreter. Literally happened earlier this evening. My roommate gets home and gets himself a shower after work. He's trying to unwind and having a conversation with me in ASL, or American Sign Language. I notice he starts acting a bit off. Being epileptic myself, I start to suspect, but not sure. I ask if he's feeling alright, and he says he feels weird, and suddenly, full-blown seizure. This roommate does not have a history of seizures, so I immediately get my boyfriend to call 911 and ask for paramedics. Meanwhile, I'm putting on my hearing aids and getting my shoes on, as by this time I've already moved things that could hurt him away from him prior. The paramedics come. I grab the roommate's keys and drive his car to the hospital. I get there and check in as a guest, with a guest sticker to slap beautifully across my chest. I get let in and told where his room is, blah blah. If you've ever visited someone in hospital, you know the general gist of getting to the person's room. So I'm sitting there wearing my hearing aids, so now I could potentially have a conversation without the need for signing. But I'm signing anyway, I'm just more comfortable that way. He in turn signs what he can. The nurse comes in and checks on him and makes sure he's got everything he needs for the time being, making sure he's comfortable, etc. Informs him someone will be coming by from radiology. Soon enough, someone from radiology shows up with a wheelchair, helps him into the wheelchair and carts him away. Him signing, "I'll be back," all Terminator-like. So I'm sitting there in his room just waiting when the nurse returns to the roommate-less room, and the nurse says, something patient, something interpreter. And I say, no thanks, roommate doesn't need an interpreter. Wrong answer. That's apparently not what she asked. She looked more frustrated in her face, her eyebrows furrowed. I'm now trying my hardest to lip read someone I can barely make anything out from. The nurse says something another patient, something sign language interpreter, something can't, something one patient all the time, something. And I say I'm not an ASL interpreter. And I don't work for the hospital, I'm here for a roommate. And the nurse says, something needs interpreter now, something going. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say, I'm deaf, not an interpreter. The nurse is now getting furious, but storms off, and I'm thinking I've heard the end of it. My roommate is returned after what felt like an eternity, and we're chatting back and forth, again with sign. Apparently, the nurse had made a complaint about me, as suddenly and without warning, the charge nurse is in the room, and my roommate is signing everything the charge nurse is complaining at me about. The charge nurse says, "You need to get off your duff and help other patients that need a sign language interpreter. You can't be sitting here dedicating yourself to one single patient. You will be called back to this patient if he needs something important spoken to him." Roommate calm signing, speaking while signing, says, "He's not an interpreter, he's my deaf roommate. I'm interpreting what you're saying to him and trying to enjoy my conversation with him." The charge nurse goes white as a ghost, but the word deaf seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Charge nurse says, "Well, can he at least help with translation so other hearing impaired patients can be treated?" Again, roommate is signing everything to me. I chime in vocally. "Ma'am, I'm deaf. I can't hear you. I can't make out what you're saying unless someone translates it for me. So how would it be possible for me to translate what's being said to other deaf people currently in the hospital? I don't work here, you don't pay me, and I can't hear worth a damn to do what you're requesting." Charge nurse again says, "Well, you could still help out. Don't you sign interpreters have some sort of oath you have to follow?" My roommate tells the woman, "The mere fact that you are confusing a deaf person for a sign language interpreter and demanding a deaf person interpret language he can't hear is honestly quite frightening in a hospital environment. Do you realize how terrifying that kind of crap is?" And I say, "Doesn't surprise me. This is the same hospital that had a nurse ask if I wanted my discharge papers in Braille." "That was this hospital?" my roommate asked. By this point, the charge nurse seems to have gotten the picture and profusely apologizes to my roommate. Not to me, though, and scampers away not to be seen again. The doctor eventually comes in and goes over the details with roommate, that nothing appeared amiss in his brain scan and everything looked alright, but told him to stop taking a medication he was on. Apparently his medicine can rarely cause seizures, and today was the second day of having taken said medicine, so it made sense. Just basically, drink plenty of fluids, don't go to work the next few days so the meds clear out of your system, and get plenty of rest and make sure you're in a safe area in case of random seizures until you're clear. I kid you not, the doctor looks directly at me and tells me, I can go to another patient now. I effing hate this hospital. If I had the spare finances to blow, I'd definitely get those various t-shirts off Amazon that read, I'm deaf, and varying degrees of that so that I can avoid crap like this again in the future. Unfreaking believable. To make matters more infuriating is this is the same doctor at the same hospital that told me that deaf people can't speak. Don't get sick in small towns. You never know how idiotic hospital staff are. I drove my roommate home in his car. He protested because, quote, you're epileptic, you could have a seizure at any time. And I said, right now, so are you, but I'm medicated for it. Edit. Someone was gracious enough to buy me a shirt off Amazon. This one that says, I'm not ignoring you, I'm just deaf. I've also gotten recommendations from people who work in the healthcare industry on various places to complain to, including various hospital departments, patient advocate, and the state's hospital regulatory board, and to file a HIPAA complaint about the situation last night. I've also been blown away by the fact that it's not just my small town's hospital that's crap. It seems most small towns have crap hospitals and crap staff. And the comments section of this post is also full of other people's experiences with terrible hospitals, and also people that just lack common sense and don't seem to understand disabilities. I mean, you can't expect everyone to be experts on the topic, I'm certainly not, but a little common sense goes a long way. And asking a deaf person if they need their paperwork in Braille is not common sense. This comment here said, there was a picture a few years ago of a bunch of wheelchairs lined up at a boarding bridge for an airplane with the names of a bunch of deaf people. Because they were classified as handicapped in the airline system. No distinction, they didn't need wheelchairs. Lady assaults me over hot sauce. I am an early bird, waking up at 3:30 a.m. to prepare a fresh meal for my husband to take to work. He works at 4:45 a.m. We have one car, so he and I go off to his work and I drop him off. I'm in need of a few things from the store, so I head off to pick them up from a local grocery store that is open at 5 a.m. It's important that I know I am wearing yoga clothes, yoga pants and a loose tunic, white and gray, because I'm going home and doing my yoga to maintain my usual routine. I'm walking through the almost empty store. There are mostly stock people working hard, and a lady who is also my friend up front at self-checkout. I love shopping this early because it's so quiet and peaceful and fits into my love of calm in the morning. I stop in the condiments area to get some ketchup. Then comes crazy hot sauce lady. The lady loudly exclaimed, "Why is this hot sauce so expensive?" I smile and shrug, then turn back to minding my own business. Yelling now, the lady says, "Hello, why are you ignoring me?" I can't ignore you because you're being very loud. Also, I don't know why it's that price. I don't work here. Everyone who works here is wearing blue and orange, so do I look like that? Bull, I saw you talking to the lady up front. Yes, I am a regular here and she is my friend. So you work here but you're off right now? So you could tell me why it's so expensive. I'm sorry, but as I said before, I'm a regular shopper here and do not work here. What do you think I can explain about the price that will make a difference? What can anyone do for you about the price? You're I'll not use the word, but it rhymes with which. Why won't you help me? I reply sternly, again, I can't help you. Now please go away. With a red and irate face, I mean she could be a cartoon with steam coming out of her ears. Crazy hot sauce lady slams her cart into mine, causing it to hit my stomach, tearing my shirt and scratching/bruising me. I pushed her cart off mine, and at this point I had to control my temper and walk away. I started going directly to the front to tell my friend, who was stationed at self-checkout, to call the police. I left my phone in the car. As I'm on my way there, the lady is reaching into my cart and throwing the items on the floor. Thankfully, my friend had already heard the commotion and decided to go ahead and call the police. One of the guys who was stocking the shelves came over and got between the lady and I. She proceeded to scream like a toddler, throwing a tantrum, and started provoking the stock guy by getting in his face, screaming profanities and racist comments, poking him in the chest. This guy is at least 6'2" and 270 pounds, 2 times her size. This went on for what seemed like forever, about 15 to 20 minutes, until the police arrived, catching her red-handed assaulting the poor stock guy, who was super patient and calm despite her abuse. The police go over and immediately put her in handcuffs. Surprisingly, while she was cuffed, she calmed down, but lied and told them that I assaulted her. They look at her with disbelief. I'm sure it's because of what they just witnessed. The police asked me to wait while they detain her. I did. After reviewing security footage and speaking with witnesses, she was arrested and charged with 2 counts of assault and vandalism. The police told me that they believe that she was under the influence of some type of drug, although that wasn't verified as far as I know. Anyway, I've never had anything like this happen until it did. Hopefully nothing like this will ever happen again. I'm not a doctor. We owned a 24/7 business and I often worked overnights. I was also the emergency on-call person. On nights I didn't work, sleep was worth more than gold. I had and still have the most effed up sleep patterns and catch extra Z's whenever I can. I sleep very sound and deep. In fact, about the only thing that wakes me is my alarm and my phone ringing. This was a great skill to have when my kids were younger, as I often had to sleep when they were up and active. Cue my problem and temper. I would get calls from a doctor's answering service asking for the doctor. When the calls first started, I would tell them I wasn't the doctor. More than once, I got a return call almost immediately from the same person who told me that, quote, "This is the doctor's home number." No, it's not. It's my number. Okay, I'll page him. After the first couple months, I started telling the service to tell the people to, quote, "Take 730 aspirin and call back next year." They then knew I wasn't the doctor and we'd have the annoying "you called the wrong number again" talk. After almost 3 years of this annoying crap, I got a true emergency call from them that the doctor had to call blank ER because one of his patients came in suffering a heart attack. He was taking meds and other issues and they needed to confer with him about the appointment he had with the patient the day before. I hung up and called the ER myself. I got the doctor that needed to talk to the real doctor on the phone and told him, 1. I am not the doctor and have had his answering service calling me about 3 years. 2. I have told them numerous times, but they never fixed the problem. 3. This is the first life-threatening emergency they called with, and I thought the best way to handle it was to call him and let him see if the hospital knew how to really get in contact with their colleague. I told him I understood this was a matter of life and death and I would not take any more of his time. I ended by giving him my number so he could compare it to the correct number to possibly check where the problem occurred, so it did not happen again. All this took less than a minute as I started the conversation with, "Please just listen." The doctor I was getting calls for was a PCP, primary care physician, a family doctor, not a cardiologist or brain surgeon. The calls I was getting for him were things like, "Little Johnny has a fever of 100.1, what should we do? Can you refill my meds?" Things like that. I know I struck a nerve with the ER doctor because I never got another call from the doctor's answering service again. Anyway, friends, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So have an awesome day, take care, and I'll see you next time.